You're about to see a patient with a red eye, probably just another case of pink eye or conjunctivitis. But one question leads you to pause, and now a simple eye visit has turned into an eye emergency. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what that diagnosis is, how to differentiate it from conjunctivitis, and how you can recognize it even without a slit lamp. I'm Dr. Jasper Trotter, and I simplify ophthalmology for non-ophthalmologists. Before we get into the mystery diagnosis, let's quickly lay the foundation. Conjunctivitis, what many people call pink eye, is inflammation of the conjunctiva, a clear mucous membrane that lines the anterior portion of the white sclera and the backside of the eyelids. Conjunctivitis is a common cause of a red eye, and the three main types are viral, bacterial, and allergic. Here's what they generally have in common: a red, irritated eye with some form of discharge. Symptoms can range from mild to severe, but there generally isn't pain, and that's really important to remember. In general, conjunctivitis is common, often self-limiting, and most cases can follow up outpatient, unless it's a more urgent case like gonococcal conjunctivitis. But what if a patient presents with what initially sounds like similar symptoms to conjunctivitis? A red eye, irritation, blurry vision, and it ends up being an emergency. Let's look at a case. A 63-year-old woman comes to the ED at 10:30 at night with a red, painful left eye and blurry vision. Symptoms are acute and quickly worsening. On exam, visual acuity is 20/20 in her right eye, but significantly worse in the left eye, light perception. And her vision doesn't improve with her glasses or blinking. The left pupil is sluggish, and the intraocular pressure is elevated at 25. There's mild left periorbital edema, significant and diffuse conjunctival injection. The cornea looks a bit hazy, and you notice something at the bottom of the anterior chamber, a hypopyon. You also notice this patient's pretty uncomfortable. It turns out that the patient had cataract surgery 4 days ago. This is not pink eye, it's endophthalmitis. Endophthalmitis is a severe, vision-threatening inflammation inside the eye involving the aqueous and vitreous humors. The eye is an immune-privileged space, where the immune response is intentionally limited. Inside the eye, inflammation is tightly controlled, because even a normal immune reaction can damage structures that are critical for vision. But there's a trade-off. When a microorganism like bacteria enters the eye after surgery or trauma, the immune system doesn't respond as quickly at first. And that delay can give bacteria time to multiply. And when the immune system finally does respond, it can be very aggressive because it's trying to catch up. And that intense inflammation can affect vision. Imagine a library that keeps its alarms turned down so it doesn't disturb the readers. A small fire starts in the corner away from sensors so it has time to build and grow. But by the time the alarm goes off and people notice, the fire has already spread. And soon, firefighters rush in and it's chaos. There are two main types of endophthalmitis. The first, exogenous endophthalmitis, is more common. It comes from an external source like a penetrating trauma or an intraocular procedure like cataract surgery, glaucoma surgery, or intravitreal injections for macular degeneration or diabetes. Endogenous endophthalmitis is less common. Bacteria or fungi spread through the blood from an internal source to the eye, like in sepsis. Cataract surgery is one of the most common surgeries done in ophthalmology, and intravitreal injections, where medicine is literally injected directly into the eye, into the vitreous, that also is commonly done. So in this video, we're going to be focusing on the exogenous endophthalmitis type, specifically post-operative endophthalmitis. Compared to common eye conditions like conjunctivitis or dry eye, post-operative endophthalmitis is rare, occurring in less than 1% of intraocular procedures. But when it does occur, it can lead to devastating vision loss. So let's go ahead and talk about how you even recognize post-operative endophthalmitis. Using a slit lamp is ideal, but you don't need it to suspect endophthalmitis. So here's what to look for: significant visual acuity decline from the patient's baseline, so 2400, especially hand motion or light perception. Using a light source from a direct ophthalmoscope, a pen light, or even your phone. Look for a very red eye. It kind of looks like a sick eye. And the patient may be having difficulty opening the eye due to photophobia. There might be mucopurulent discharge. Also look for a hazy cornea, which could be from inflammation affecting the posterior most layer of the cornea, the endothelium, leading to corneal edema. Check the anterior chamber. And what you're looking for is a whitish, yellowish layering at the bottom, a hypopyon. A hypopyon is a collection of white blood cells layered inferiorly in the anterior chamber, and it's a sign of significant intraocular inflammation. Seeing a hypopyon is one of the big clues, and sometimes it could be confused for a mucopurulent discharge. So if you see something that looks like a possible hypopyon, have the patient blink multiple times in a row to see if what that whitish area is, if it goes away or if it moves, or if it's actually within the eye. Now, it's important to note that a hypopyon does not only happen in endophthalmitis. A hypopyon is a sign of significant intraocular inflammation, so it can happen in other eye conditions like a corneal ulcer or even uveitis. But this is where the clinical context, the history is really important. A patient with a red irritated eye, vision loss, and a hypopyon who just had an eye injection 6 days ago for retinal vein occlusion. Endophthalmitis is at the top of the differential. All right, let's get back to what else to look for. Check the red reflex with a direct ophthalmoscope, and you're looking for a dim or blunted red reflex, which tells you something's interfering with light passing through the eye. An example being vitritis, which happens in endophthalmitis. If you don't have a good view to the fundus with a direct ophthalmoscope, do a bedside ocular ultrasound. You're looking for vitritis, debris in the vitreous cavity that moves as the eye moves. But if there's any concern for an open globe, defer the ultrasound. So the key when it comes to postoperative endophthalmitis is the eye being an immune privileged space. With surgery or an injection going directly into the eye, there's something penetrating the eye. Okay, here's going to be our eye. When you have an injection that goes directly into the eye, something penetrating the eye, something directly going into the eye. Compare that to doing a blepharoplasty where the surgery is localized to the upper eyelid. When a patient comes in with a red eye, it's really important to ask this question. Have you had any recent eye surgery, injection, or trauma? If the answer is yes, ask when, because the timing's really important. Postoperative endophthalmitis often occurs within the first 1 to 2 weeks after intraocular surgery or an intravitreal injection, particularly around post-op day 3 to 7. Now, that's not to say that by post-op day 15, a surgical patient's out of the clear. Endophthalmitis is still possible after 2 weeks, but the peak is around post-op week 1. So that one question can shift the differential. Let's consider 2 patients. Both present with an acute red eye and visual acuity of 2400. Patient 1 had uncomplicated cataract surgery 5 years ago with no recent procedures or trauma. Postoperative endophthalmitis is unlikely. But patient 2 had cataract surgery 5 days ago. That's endophthalmitis until proven otherwise. Endophthalmitis is not common, but it unfortunately happens and can lead to devastating and irreversible vision loss, especially if it's not treated soon enough. What to do? If you suspect endophthalmitis, make the patient NPO. Depending on the severity, they may need to go to the OR for a vitrectomy. You can always confirm the NPO status with the on-call ophthalmologist. Do a Seidel test with a sodium fluorescein stain in a cobalt blue light, which you can get from the direct ophthalmoscope or even an app, to check for a leak or full thickness wound. If the test is positive, that's an open globe. If there's no concern for an open globe, there's limited view to the fundus using a direct ophthalmoscope, do an ocular ultrasound looking for vitritis, and call ophthalmology immediately, day or night. Endophthalmitis can progress quickly, especially postoperative endophthalmitis. Treatment depends on the visual acuity and generally involves a retina specialist for either intravitreal injections, which can be done at the bedside, or a vitrectomy in the OR. Endophthalmitis is one of the handful of eye emergencies that warrants a middle-of-the-night call and potentially a transfer to a facility that has retina coverage. So let's compare the two, conjunctivitis versus postoperative endophthalmitis. Vision. In conjunctivitis, it can range from mild to moderately blurry. What would be atypical is vision loss described as darkening, hand motion, or light perception. In endophthalmitis, vision is often significantly reduced, hand motion or light perception. If you want a copy of the notes for this video, check out the link in the description below. Incidence. Conjunctivitis is common. Postoperative endophthalmitis, on the other hand, is rare, occurring in less than 1% of intraocular procedures. Pain. Generally not present in conjunctivitis. The symptoms are more irritation, discomfort, foreign body sensation. But in endophthalmitis, it's often present. But it is important to note that it is not 100%. Some patients may not have any pain and still have endophthalmitis. History of a recent eye surgery or injection. In conjunctivitis, that's typically not relevant. In endophthalmitis, that is a key risk factor. A hypopyon, not present in conjunctivitis. Endophthalmitis, often present. That's one of the key exam findings. A red reflex, normal in conjunctivitis. In endophthalmitis, that may be dim or blunted from the vitritis. Discharge, that's really common in conjunctivitis. There can be a lot of tearing. It can be a clear drainage or mucopurulent. In endophthalmitis, discharge may be present, but it's not the main feature. Urgency, for conjunctivitis, it's generally not urgent. Now, this is specific to non-gonococcal conjunctivitis. Gonococcal conjunctivitis is more urgent, but for non-gonococcal conjunctivitis, outpatient follow-up is generally fine for routine conjunctivitis. In endophthalmitis, that is a true eye emergency. Call ophthalmology immediately. So we talked about endophthalmitis, but what are other times that you should call an ophthalmologist in the middle of the night? Things that can't wait till the morning. Well, I put together this comprehensive guide, and if you see patients in the primary care, ED, urgent care, especially if you don't have ophthalmology coverage, you're going to want to check that video out. So let me know that you like this video by literally clicking the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you there.